Today, I will be playing The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D on the 3DS, and I will try to beat this game from start to finish without ever using my sword. It's funny, because Link is actually known to be a great swordsman, but if we decide to never actually use this tool, can we still beat the game? The rules are simple. We cannot use the sword. That's it. Now that everything has been set, smash subscribe, make that notification bell go ding dong, and let's just jump into it. After the intro plays out and Navi wakes us up from our slumber, we'll have to gather 40 rupees to buy a wooden shield and then go through that hole in the wall and open up this chest which contains the illegal content. Look, it is a sword we cannot use. So I guess we'll just put it on our back and it will remain there for as long as we can. So you might be wondering how we're going to fight our way through the dungeons if we don't have anything to defend ourselves with. Well, turns out that the shop can actually help us get the most dangerous weapon of all, the Nicobbq stick. Yup, this wooden stick is what we'll be using to fight enemies. Oh, and the Nicobbq nuts will also be quite useful to stun some enemies, so I mean, let's buy some while we're at it. Time to enter the Nicobbq tree and use our new weapons to fight through this dungeon. And thankfully, most enemies are these Nicobbq scrubs that we can defeat using the wooden shield to reflect the projectile they shoot at us, so no need to use any weapons here. This dungeon also unlocks the fairy slingshot, which will be another weapon we'll probably use instead of using the sword. You'll have to use the Nicobbq stick to light up torches and burn some spider webs a couple of times, and since these sticks are quite expensive, well, we don't want to have them burned down, but you can actually save them all. Once you burn the thing or light up the torch and you have no more need for the stick, well, just switch to another weapon and the Nicobbq stick will not be consumed and will be reusable. Now this is what I call recycling. Time to defeat Queen Gohma. And normally you want to stun that spider and then use your sword to stab her eye, but we can just use the Nicobbq stick instead. Just like the sword, the Nicobbq stick does some damage. So after a couple of hits, Gohma will be no more and we'll get the first spiritual stone. Now we can go explore the entire world. But just before we do that, well, let's grab 40 more rupees and explore the Lost Woods to get the Nicobbq stick bag upgrade. This will allow us to carry 20 Nicobbq sticks instead of just 10, and since they kind of break quite easily when you fight with those, this will be more than needed. Time to go meet Zelda and do a couple side quests before getting to Death Mountain, and thankfully all of those side quests don't really involve fighting enemies, so we don't actually need to use the sword at all. These side quests allowed me to get an empty bottle, which I'm sure will be quite helpful later in this quest, and also the Hylian shield, which will not burn down when fire touches it. I also got the bracelet, allowing me to pick up bomb flowers from Goron City, and then made my way to the next dungeon, the Dungo's Cavern. So this dungeon will require you to kill a couple of enemies like these Lizalfos, and without your sword, this can be a bit scary, but the Nicobbq stick will once again allow us to defeat them. I even realized that once the Nicobbq stick breaks, you can still use it in its broken state. This will be helpful to save even more Nicobbq sticks. Because keep in mind, running out of Nicobbq sticks is actually the scariest part of this challenge. Thankfully, some Nicobbq scrubs can sell some to you, but it's quite expensive, so I mean, just save them as much as you can. In this dungeon, I got the bombs, which is another weapon that will definitely be quite helpful. King Dodongo wasn't too difficult to defeat, and 3 Nicobbq sticks is all it took to defeat it. Yes, another spiritual stone is ours. Before we move on to Zora's domain, let me just get on top of the mountain to grab the green magic meter, and also, while we're at it, let's grab Din's Fire, a powerful magic attack that will probably prove to be helpful in the quest. Alright, it's time to go to Zora's domain, and to be honest, this section is pretty easy, and we can quickly make our way to Jabu Jabu's belly, the 3rd temple. Oh, make sure to buy some Nicobbq sticks before going there, just in case. You know what, the insides of Jabu Jabu's belly are pretty disgusting, and I always find this dungeon to be kinda gross, but for this challenge, everything is good. Soon after entering the dungeon, we'll meet Princess Ruto, who's kind of a brat, let's be real, but she'll also be a useful weapon that will replace the sword we're not allowed to use. And there you go, dead. Alright, thank you, Rudo, that was pretty cool. This dungeon will also give you the boomerang, which is yet another weapon to use against enemies. Wow, we have so many weapons, we'll never have any problem whatsoever. This dungeon isn't too difficult, and soon we'll reach the boss, Barinade, and defeating him requires you to use the boomerang mostly, but to finish him off, you'll need a couple of Deku sticks. Thankfully, as you know, I bought a bunch from the market before entering, so I'm all good. Let's grab the third and final spiritual stone, and now it's time for us to go to the Temple of Time. Oh, hey, look at that nice man. He looks pretty cool. I'm sure he'll never do anything. Ah! Ouch! What are you doing? This dude's not cool. Alright, let's grab the Ocarina of Time, learn the Song of Time, and visit the Temple of Time to time travel. Whew, I said the word time way too much. That was confusing as heck. Alright, let's grab the Master Sword. Whoa, look at this epic weapon that I won't ever get to use because it's illegal. Oh well, at least now I'm an adult. And you know what? Growing up and becoming an adult means that some of the weapons we used as a kid will no longer work. This includes the boomerang, the slingshot, but the worst part of it is that it also includes the Deku sticks. What? But that was my most powerful weapon! This might be bad, real bad. For now, let's visit the cemetery in Kakariko Village to get a hook shot. This ain't much of a weapon, but I mean it's better than nothing. And now I know we normally are meant to go to the Forest Temple, but I think I'd like to have a true proper weapon before going there. And you know what? The Fire Temple actually gives us the Megaton Hammer. I think this would actually be a good replacement weapon for the Deku Sticks we can no longer use because we are adults. And as you know, adults don't touch Deku Sticks. For some reason, I don't know. Luckily for us, we have bombs, allowing us to blow up Nico the Goron. Nice name, by the way. And he's going to give us the Red Tunic, which will then allow us to visit the Fire Temple. This temple does contain a bunch of annoying enemies, especially those fire bats. Ugh. And since we cannot really fight back that much, well, dodging them will be your best bet. Eventually, after freeing a bunch of Gorons, we'll get to this mini boss, which thankfully can be defeated swordless. Here's what we need to do. We have to throw a bomb at him to break his fire thing buddy, and then when he's running away like a weenie, well, just use your hookshot to hurt him. Eventually, I even managed to just circle around him and I dealt many hits all at once. Defeating the dude grants us access to this room, which leads to the Megaton Hammer. Oh heck yeah, now this is a good weapon replacement for a sword. I have to admit that this works okay, but for some reason, the hammer is definitely not as powerful as the Deku Stick. I mean, look how many hits it takes me to beat this one single enemy. I even thought I wasn't dealing damage at one point. While we're on the topic of not dealing a lot of damage, the boss fight against Volvagia is very annoying. This dude can hit and kill you quite easily, but you on the other hand will have to hit him about 10 times to defeat the dude. Which takes like forever because after 1 or 2 hits, the dragon just flies away and you have to wait for him to go back down and... That was painful, but I still managed to kill the guy and receive my medallion. Well, now that we have a weapon to defend ourselves with, let's get back to the forest and do the Forest Temple, shall we? I actually think it's going to be the very first time I actually complete the Forest Temple after I do the Fire Temple, so I didn't even know you could do that. That's pretty cool. The Forest Temple starts off with 2 evil wolves that want to eat you whole, so I'm glad I trusted my guts and went to the Fire Temple first, cause now, with my epic hammer, I can fight and defeat these guys, as well as the Stalfos and the other enemies. In fact, all of the Poes you have to defeat can be killed using the hammer, so it's actually very helpful. I also got the bow and arrow, which is yet another weapon that we add to our inventory. And soon, I reach the boss, Phantom Ganon. And this guy throws magic balls at you that you normally have to send back using your sword. Obviously, we can't do that. And I tried using the hammer to do so, but as you can tell, this was rather unsuccessful. Is this the end of the quest? Well, no! If you've been watching my shorts channel, which you should, links in the description, then you know that we can actually use an empty bottle to play table tennis with Ganondorf. There you go, Ganon, you can't defeat me. I have my epic empty bottle. And when he falls down, well, use the hammer, finish him off, and then you'll get to the next temple. But you know what? Just before we do this, we need a couple things. So I went to the ice cavern, smashed that white wolf, and got the metal boots. And then I used the blue fire to melt King Zora, and he gave me the blue tunic. Which means I'm now fully prepared to go to the water temple and actually suffer. But not because of the fact that I can't use my sword, no, because I mean, the water temple is just terrible. So I got lost as per usual every time I play it happens, and eventually I did fight a couple enemies, and they can pretty much all be defeated using hook shots, arrows, or the hammer, so no worries. The mid-boss, Shadow Link, on the other hand, is a big problem. Basically, you're meant to fight the dude using the sword, as nothing else seems to do damage. So what am I supposed to do? I can't use the sword, I can't use the hammer, I can't use bow and arrows. Well, remember the time as a kid where I visited the fairy to get Din's fire? Well, this will be quite helpful right now and will actually allow us to defeat the dude, provided that you got the extra magic power-up from the fairy, so make sure you grab that as well. The rest of the temple wasn't that bad, and beating the boss was actually a total joke if you know the epic gamer trick. Basically, long shot the dude in the corner and then go behind it and keep hitting it with the hammer until it dies. Here is another medallion. So before we go to the next temple, we'll have to explore the bottom of the well. So let's put the Master Sword back inside of the pedestal, and we're a kid again! And we have Deku Sticks! Oh, I missed you, Deku Sticks, you're my best friend! Defeating the evil dead-end mini-boss was actually pretty easy, and I have to admit that I truly miss being able to use the powerful Deku Sticks. But you know what, we have to say goodbye to those again, because we have to go back to the future and become an adult again. After visiting a burning down Kakariko village and seeing Sheik getting destroyed by the wind or something, and then learning the Nocturne of Shadow song, well, it's time to explore the Shadow Temple, and hopefully this one will be easy to clear. Using the Lens of Truth, we can see invisible walls and reach our best friend, Dead Hen. I defeated this dude as a kid, so beating him as an adult will be faster than ever. Alright, let me use my hammer and... Wait, what? Excuse me? The hammer does no damage? What? How can it deal 0 damage? Same thing for the long shot, the arrows, Din's fire, and literally everything I have on me? Uh-oh, nothing actually deals damage to the guy. And you know what? Eventually I just started mashing every button like an idiot because whatever, dude. And I realized that you can actually deal damage to Dead Hen by doing a jump attack while holding the hammer. The timing is really precise, almost pixel perfect, and I actually died during the fight, which is a bit embarrassing, but yeah, eventually I defeated the dude and got the hover boots. So the rest of the Shadow Temple was actually quite easy to clear, and I soon made my way to Bongo Bongo, which is actually the next problem we'll have in this quest. The hammer doesn't seem to do damage to this guy. You know what, man, the hammer kinda sucks. I miss my Deku Sticks. I tried literally everything I could think of. I used bombs, I used arrows, I used din fires, I did a crouch hammer stab, I did the jump attack, I used the long shot, but no, there's like nothing that actually deals damage to this dude. So, is this the end of the quest? Well, depends. If you actually want to do it legit, without any glitches, well, yes, I guess it ends here. But doing some research, I actually found a glitch that allows you to have the Deku Stick as an adult. So basically, you'll need to go to the fishing pond after performing another glitch which allows you to use Furor's Wind anywhere. It's pretty simple, all you need to do is to equip an item that you can use anywhere, then change it with Furor's Wind, and when you leave the item menu, you quickly mash the button you put your unusable item on, and if done correctly, well, you'll be able to use it. Then, enter the fishing pond, pay 20 rupees to get a fishing rod, and then redo the Furor's Wind glitch to leave the fishing pond. After that, swim back to the pond, enter, and leave. And if you've done that all correctly, you are now holding an invisible Deku Stick as an adult. Well, I guess it looks like you're holding your shield, but trust me, it's an invisible Deku Stick. And using this brand new invisible weapon against Bongo Bongo, well, as you can see, we can finally deal some damage. And this is actually pretty cool. In fact, Bongo Bongo can actually be defeated and the quest can go on. Heck yeah, time to go to the desert now. right after I do the entire Epona quest to get the song and the horse in order to go to Gerudo Valley. Defeating all of the Gerudo thieves is quite annoying, as you really have to get super close to them in order to deal damage with the hammer, and they actually often block your attacks, but it's still possible to do it anyways. The Spirit Temple needs to be cleared as a kid and as an adult, and obviously with the Deku Sticks, beating the child part is quite easy. I mean, even the boss is actually a total joke. The adult part isn't any more difficult, and the hammer will allow you to beat every single enemy, which is kinda good. And the battle against Twin Rova won't take too long either, as the hammer works great. Alright, let's return to the Temple of Time and tell Sheik that we are ready to fight the final boss, and oh my gosh, Sheik is actually Zelda? Whoa, what a surprise! Oh, a 20-year-old, spoiler alert, I guess. And the princess got captured. Oh well, let's just go save her. All of the trials you have to do to dispel the barrier in Ganon's castle were actually pretty simple, and the hammer was all that was needed to defeat the few enemies on the way. And you know what? The fight against Ganondorf wasn't too bad, because we had the empty bottle. Hey, it worked on Phantom Ganon, so of course it works on the real deal. I do have to admit that it took a lot of hammer hits to finally defeat Ganondorf, but there we go, he's gone. Time for the final phase against the demon beast, Ganon. Well, would you look at that? This beast actually knocks away the sword we're not allowed to use. Wow, Ganon might actually be a good guy trying to help us through the last few steps of the challenge, who knows? Use arrows and use your hammer up until you get your sword back, and then keep hitting Ganon with the hammer. And I did this for a long time. A very long time. And eventually, Ganon actually stopped blinking, so every time I was hitting him, well, it was like nothing was happening. There was no damage done. And you know what, I did more research, and as it turns out, you need to deal the final 2 blows with the Master Sword. This first one, and then when Ganon is on the ground, well, to start the end cutscene, you actually have to use the sword again. Dang it, dude! I can't believe it! We had to use the sword twice in the final 5 seconds of the game! Aww. No, it is not possible to beat The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D without using the sword. Well, at least not the way I was doing the challenge. There is actually a way to use glitches to wrong warp from the Dungo's Cavern right to the credit screen, but for me, this just doesn't count as playing the game. So for this challenge, we actually had to use a cheat to defeat Bongo Bongo to get some invisible Deku Sticks, and then deal 2 swords hits to defeat Ganon. You know what, this was one heck of an adventure, and I actually want to attempt it on other Zelda games now. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Let me know if you want more. Smash subscribe, smash like, do all that fun stuff. Tap the cards on screen right now, and yeah, that's gonna be it for me. Bye bye!